and welcome back to Boom So Bites. I am your host, Ami43.
And I'm your co-host, Jiggy.
And on today's episode, I just wanted to start the episode off just a little differently. I haven't quite told Chiggy what I'm doing, but I just wanted to do a, since this is a weekly podcast, just wanted to do like a weekly check-in. So just wanted to ask Chiggy, how has your week been? Anything new happened for you this week?
Yes. So this week, I broke my record on my diet.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something else. I was like, what'd you break? You broke your record on your diet. Yes. Yeah.
So from our last episode with our New Year's resolution, I said that I was going to go back onto my diet, which was no carbs, no sweets. And I broke that 13 days into it. And so I've eaten some carbs and I've eaten sweets. So I think I'm just going to modify it a bit, do the diet on weekdays. So no carbs, no sugars when I'm at work.
Yeah.
And, after I get home from work. And then on the weekends, cheat days.
Well, and it's not necessarily, I wouldn't even say that it's a cheat day because like the food that we ate, it was a pretty well-rounded meal. It had a lot of protein, had a lot of vegetables. We went to an Indian place and Chiggy and I love Indian food. And actually, when we ordered it, we specified, we were like, can we get the rice on the side? Because Chiggy didn't want to eat the rice. He just wanted did you get dal or curry? I don't remember. Was it a curry?
I got buttered chicken.
Oh, you got butter chicken. Okay. Which butter chicken is delicious. And it was full of vegetables and whatever. And the intention was he was going to throw together a quick salad here at the house because we took it to go. But then when they packed it, they put the rice with it, which is how it's served. But we did ask for it on the side, and unfortunately either they forgot or she just wasn't paying attention, and so he's like, well, I guess I'm eating rice. I was like, okay. I mean, and I think having rice for that one meal, because for all intents and purposes you've been sticking to your diet for the rest of our meals. I think. I mean, you've had a sweet here and there. I saw because you had a sweet right before we had dinner tonight.
Right. So
I was like, what was that?
Yesterday was the day that I broke the diet, and then today I just continued on eating carbs and sweets.
Oh, did you have carbs today? What carbs did you have today?
Yeah, today, earlier I ate the rest of the Indian, so I had your pizza.
I was on, it's Indian pizza. That sounds so bad, but it's like, essentially they made it like a pizza, but they did it on naan bread.
Yeah.
So, I guess that would be, naan bread would be the carbs in that instance. But that was like, I left like half a slice or a slice and a half.
Still, going from 0 carbs a day to some carbs is still a big difference.
But I think I agree with you. Doing it a little bit modified. And I think, I do want to commend you. You have been very strict, with your diet thus far. And I think that's okay. As I told you before, I can't do what you're doing. I can't cut cold turkey. That's just not how I fly, personally. But I think that, having not even, I wouldn't even say that they're cheat days. I would say you had a cheat meal and a half over the last 48 hours and I say that because I know you're going right back to your salad first thing tomorrow. So, I think that's fair. I think that's fine. I think that you are still hyper limiting the amount of carbs that you're intaking, and I think that that's good. So kudos. I don't think it's bad. I feel like you saying it sounds so much more dramatic than it is, but I think it's okay. I think it's good. I think it's good balance. And we need balance.
Yep,
Everyone needs balance.
So that was my little
weekly update.
What about you? Anything?
I got a haircut. This is kind of the reason why, not to be that person, but it does feel very short in comparison to how my hair was before. And that's not even to say that I have short hair. I've had significantly shorter hair than this before. I am trying to grow my hair out overall, but I finally took off pretty much like the last bit of ends of color that I had in my hair previously. So this is just natural hair from root to tip now, and my hair feels very, very healthy, which was kind of my biggest concern. When you're growing out your hair, you have to trim it pretty regularly, and then if you don't, you tend to get split ends. And because my ends were colored, or my hair was colored at one point, and so it had finally grown out, and so my ends were colored, my ends were just very, very dry. So I just kind of took the plunge of not doing just a trim, but I cut off all the color. And I don't think it looks bad. Chiggy, what do you think? You haven't really reacted too much.
Yeah,
to my hair.
I mean, to be honest, the length difference is not that much.
Yeah.
It's still pretty long,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, I've actually seen your hair shorter.
Yes, I've had significantly shorter hair before. I'm just trying to grow my hair out now.
So it's just like it's not a new look, but it's just, maintenance on your hair.
Yeah, like a refresher. At least I feel refreshed with my new hair.
Must be nice.
I wasn't gonna. You had to go there. Anyways, so yeah, new haircut, and I feel really good about it. It feels, like I said, my hair feels healthy, and that's always a good feeling, especially when you're trying to grow your hair out. So that was my very lame but very exciting to me weekly update. But all that to say, let's get into the actual episode. Chiggy, what is our episode about today?
So today I'm wearing a Mega Man shirt.
And I'm wearing a Super Mario sweatshirt.
And so our theme for today will be about gaming.
Woo!
We're just going to do a short intro and history of what we've played so far as quote-unquote being gamers. And I'll start off by first talking about my very first entertainment system or console.
Okay.
So back when I was, maybe two years old.
Baby.
Yeah. Our family purchased the Nintendo Entertainment System, the classic NES.
OG.
Of course, we had the original Super Mario Brothers, and then we ended up getting the second and third Super Mario Brothers. So we had all three of those games for the NES. I do remember playing the first one a lot. The second one I watched my brother played all the way through. And then the third one I played all the way through.
Nice.
I don't think either of us beat the first one when we were kids.
Oh, okay.
And so, did you have a NES when you were growing up?
I think so. So, okay, I could be remembering this very, very wrong. I want to preface all of this by saying that my memories of this is kind of via my older brother. I want to say at one point we had a Dreamcast, which I think is a little bit older than the NES. I don't know, but I think so, because I remember there was like a weird, it looked different from NES systems. I know that. And then I think we had the NES is the one with the black and red buttons, because the next one,
Yes.
one was the gray and purple, right?
Yes.
So I remember with the black and gray console, the NES, that was the one where we had, my brother had the little like shooter attachment, and you can play the dog and the duck game.
Hunt?
Yeah, Duck Hunt. Horrible at that game. Could never shoot any of the targets. I don't know if it's 90s technology or just the fact that I was a child. Most likely because I was a child. We had that game. And then I do remember playing, I want to say we played a Mario game, but it was on the gray and purple console. I just don't know which one it was at that point.
Gray and purple.
The next one that was after the NES.
Okay, so the consoles, yeah, it is purple. The little switches to turn it off.
Yeah, the little buttons.
And reset it is purple. Yes. So Super NES.
Super NES.
SNES.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure we had all three of those. But again, that was all, I mean, because you were saying that you were 2 years old. Both of us obviously were bunso, so we have older siblings. But for me, it wasn't even that I just wasn't a gamer as a child. I just vicariously gamed through my older brother. Because, I mean, either the games were too complicated or too hard, or I was too much of a crybaby to actually play the games because my brother was just significantly better at it. So then he would either give me a remote that wasn't plugged in, or I would just sit next to him and watch him play. That's what I do remember. And then I don't know if this is the same era, because I couldn't put these in order at all. I do know we had a PlayStation hooked up in our van We had, back in the 90s, you could have a little TV in your van, and my dad hooked up my brother's PlayStation to it. So when we would go on road trips, we could play PlayStation, or my brother could play PlayStation. I could watch him. Yeah, that was, I don't know. It's how much later, or what time period is PlayStation in comparison to SNES and NES?
That was years later.
Was
Probably
it?
Late 90s.
Okay. I mean, and again, this could all be like, maybe my brother already had these things and I was just kind of like a baby into toddlerhood. That's why I don't like fully remember. The only game I distinctly remember during that era is Duck Hunt and GoldenEye, but that's like way later. That's way. I know that's way later, but that's kind of the next game in my iteration of games.
Okay, so Ami jumped around a bit in generations
because
of
I don't
consoles.
have. Yeah, I was like, my timeline's very off. I know that.
And so I was beginning back in the late 80s, early 90s. With the classic NES going into Super NES.
Right.
However, I also had the classic Game Boy, which was the big brick.
Oh, yeah.
And I had the Super Mario Land for that that console or that handheld. It was really cool because I distinctly remember playing that game, and there was like a 2D scroller where you'd be like in a airplane or a ship and you like shoot down enemies and collect coins while you're just like flying around in the air.
Cool.
And I was like, maybe that's why I'm so into like bullet hells and airplane games now is because of that game.
You love the auto scroller where you're just shooting from your tiny little plane.
And
you can play this for hours.
Yeah,
you have played this for hours.
That's the first iteration of like
that's where it came from. It spawned. Yeah.
And so after that, I mean, we also had Tetris for both the NES.
Everyone had
and
Tetris,
the Game Boy.
Iconic music.
I'm not good at Tetris.
I mean, we all are. Yeah, I was gonna say we can all play it. It's always really, really fun when you stack everything up and then you get the one long piece. You could put it on the side or wherever you put it. That's very, very satisfying.
I think I would die at least after level 9.
Oh, well,
that's when it starts ramping up.
The OG Tetris was way harder, though.
Yeah.
I mean, now there are like crazy versions of Tetris, but yeah, back in the day, that was really, really hard for and I want to iterate, we were children at this time. So yeah, I don't know if we had a Game Boy. My brother had a Game Boy. I did not have a Game Boy. I had a Game Boy Advance because again, I'm the next generation. I'm younger. I was born in the 90s. Chiggy was born in the 80s, technically.
Yes.
So
what do you mean technically? I was born in the 80s.
Yeah, well, but by that I mean you grew up in the 90s. I was born in the 90s, and I grew up, anyways, I digress. So I had a Game Boy Advance, and that's where I played, if I'm not mistaken, that's where I started playing Pokemon. Pokemon.
Yes.
The wonderful world of Pokemon. I don't know if I would assume my brother had a Game Boy, and I would assume that he had the original. No, in the States it was yellow, right? Yellow and red. They didn't have all of them. And then when it came to the States, it was only 2 of them, maybe blue and red, and then yellow.
Yes.
Okay.
After the Game Boy, of course, Super NES.
Yeah.
And one game that I do want to touch upon for this console is the Super Scope 6. So this is what I was trying to tell you. Like, they had a bazooka that you could put a little mount on the top of your TV to act as a sensor so we can point and shoot. You had a bazooka that you actually keep on your shoulder, and it's a pretty long device, and it actually goes from around the back of your ear towards the front of your head. And
this is a controller?
Yes, this would be your controller, your quote-unquote controller.
What?
And then you have to put a little optic so that you can see through it, and that will be how you aim on the screen.
Seriously?
And then while it's mounted on your shoulder, your arm, whichever arm is holding the controller, there's buttons on the little bazooka or the Super Scope 6. So there's a fire button, a pause button, and something else.
Okay.
And you could also like toggle, I think it's like turbo maybe, but there's a toggle on there.
Okay.
And yeah, for the Super Scope 6, it had 2 different games.
Okay.
Like one was a puzzle game, and then one was like a whack-a-mole game.
Oh, and you'd whack-a-mole with a bazooka.
I think so. I maybe remember this wrong, but
that's crazy.
Like in the whack-a-mole game, there was like 12 holes. So there was 3 rows, and there was 4 holes in each column or in each row. And you would shoot 2 different colored moles. One was purple, which was the regular ones. And the other one was pink.
Was the pink the special one?
I think the pink was a special one where if you shoot it, you got an extra life.
Oh.
And then I guess if you miss one, you lose a life. And then if you shoot something else that was wrong, you also lose a life.
Oh.
And so it would get faster and all that.
Yeah, like a whack-a-mole game.
You have to not miss your shots to continue on.
With a bazooka.
Yeah.
This is crazy. Nintendo was on something else back in the day, for real though. Because, I mean, they had guns for Duck Hunt, and then now they have bazookas.
Oh, yeah.
To whack-a-mole.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane. But, like, also very creative. Do you still own this? Like,
yes I do.
We should try to play it.
So I remember when I first moved here. Like, of course I had the PlayStation and all that, but when I'd go back in the retro game, I would always play the SNES.
Yeah.
And I distinctly remember this also, like, because we go to church every week, and back then I wasn't really active either. So I would go to church, and then instead of doing other things, I would bring the Super Nintendo.
You'd bring it with you?
To the church. And then I would actually play there.
I'm weak.
Yeah.
Also, the idea of bringing an entire console that, like, and back in the day, you had, like, what, at least 3 or 4 different wires to plug this in. Mm-hmm. Was there a TV there that you could put?
Yes.
Okay. I was about to say, did you bring a TV with you too?
The TV was there. It was very old school because it had knobs that you could turn on the TV.
That's crazy.
So it was one of those really, really older ones.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. But wow, a bazooka control. But like I said, I mean, Nintendo was they really like being creative with what a controller is. Mm-hmm. So wow, that's cool. Okay, so that's SNES, and then what was your next iteration or generation of games after that?
Okay, so after the SNES, I had the Sega Genesis.
Okay.
Never liked it that much, but during that time when we did have it, I remember playing 2 games. The first one was Street Fighter, which, you know, because it's such an iconic game.
Yep.
I did play that a lot.
Okay.
And then the second game that I played was, I think it was, like, I can't even remember the name of it, but I just remember a cheat code for it. And
not the Konami code.
It spelled out the word abracadabra.
Oh,
I would have to look up the game, but you spell out the word abracadabra, A-B-R-A. So the buttons A-B, the right
trigger.
Stick.
Oh, right stick.
Yeah. So you tap right, and then A-C-A, you tap down for D.
Oh wow.
And then A-B-R-A again.
That's cool.
I forget what the game is called, but I just remember that cheat code.
I feel like cheat codes back in the day were just, it's a whole other, I'm sure it could be a whole other episode. You could deep dive into it, but it's like the way, the way things were with gaming back then, it was a whole different world. Mm-hmm. And I think that what was cool, at least in our generation, it felt like everyone was trying, like everyone was just on the edge of like, let's try something new and crazy and cool and see what happens. At least that's what it felt like, at least growing up in that era. But on Sega, did you not play Sonic? Was that not a thing for you? You didn't grow up playing Sonic?
I think I played it. I do not remember playing it that much on the Sega.
Oh, okay.
But I do remember playing it on a Game Gear.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I didn't own a Game Gear, but I borrowed it from a friend, and I played a Sonic game on the Game Gear for an entire week straight.
Yeah. That's another thing. Back in the day, we would share consoles. Like, you would literally lend your friend an entire console. And by console, I mean, like, these things were the size of cereal boxes, if not bigger. And you would just let your friend have it for a weekend, a week, whatever it was. Versus now, everything is just on your phone, or everyone has a portable device, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, back then, gaming wasn't that popular. And I don't think a lot of families could afford buying a console and that many games at that time.
Yeah, it was just like having a computer. Not everyone had a computer at their house growing up. And then if you did, it was kind of a big deal. But, no, that's cool. Okay, so... we did SNES, and then we went to Sega Genesis. After Sega Genesis, where did you go from there?
So after Sega, I think we went straight into PlayStation.
Okay, so you did do PlayStation. Like, we were a PlayStation family for a little bit.
Now, we had PlayStation 2, and that was between me and my brother.
Okay.
I want to say our parents bought the first one. And I bought my first game for the PlayStation with my own money. It was...
At this point, were you like a teenager?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think I was still 12,
10
maybe.
to 12,
11
okay.
or 12.
Okay.
And I bought Theme Hospital for PlayStation 1.
Theme Hospital?
Theme Hospital. It's like a Sims game.
Oh, we love Sims. Okay.
But not the Sims that you know now. Like Sim City Sims.
Oh, like... Roller Coaster Tycoon?
Yeah, something like that. You're
like building, right?
Yeah, you build like, well, for Roller Coaster Tycoon, you would build your roller coasters
theme parks
in your
and
theme
stuff,
park.
yeah.
And then you would unpause the game or let it play through, and
let
then
it run.
People would come into the park
and people die.
Yeah. But in this case, for the theme
Mine
hospital,
died.
you would build your examination rooms and, do the whole layout of the hospital, and then...
Oh, like the hospital building itself?
Yeah, and then you play it out. You'd have your patients come in, you treat them, and blah, blah, blah. And then you make money, build more stuff, and then try to, satisfy the objectives.
Yeah. That's kind of cool. But it's like hospital themed specifically.
Yes.
Yeah. I was going to say that probably falls within the same era. Like you said, SimCity... This hospital game, Roller Coaster Tycoon. There was definitely a generation of games where you build things and then you hope it works and then you make enough money to build more things. Like I said, every time I played Roller Coaster Tycoon, for some reason, unbeknownst to me, my roller coasters always killed my people. And to this day, I don't really know why. I don't know if it's because I made the turns too sharp. Who knows? But I didn't understand that game at all. That's a computer game, though. That doesn't count. That's not a console game. At least for me, it was a computer game.
Okay.
Okay, so PlayStation. How many PlayStations did you guys go through? Because there's a bunch now, but up until when?
So,
because I know you swapped over.
We definitely had PlayStation 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
I want to say PlayStation 2 and 3 were bought by my brother. I can't remember if we had PlayStation 4.
Okay.
Kuya probably did buy it or had it at one point.
Yeah.
And then I bought PlayStation 5 for my brother.
Oh.
That was his wedding gift. So.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I was there for that.
We bought that for him.
That was a fun buy.
I'm pretty sure he broke it out by now.
Oh yeah, I hope so. My goodness.
He had it in the box for at least 6 months.
Well, they were adjusting to married life.
Yeah.
But, I forgot. We did, well, I say we, you did get that as their, that was their wedding gift.
Yeah. But My brother was the PlayStation guy,
Mm-hmm.
so he played the PlayStation more than I would have.
Right.
And then later on, I got into Halo, so that's
You
when
branched off.
I bought Xbox.
Woo woo. Yes, Chiggy is a big Halo player. And by big Halo player, I mean he and his friends are fiends on Halo. But it's a lot of fun. I love that you play Halo with your friends. I think it's one of those things that, as someone who did not have gaming friends, and so I didn't really grow up with that, I love seeing Chiggy. Not only grew up with, like, I didn't watch him grow up with it, but like knowing that he grew up with that and like knowing that he has that now, I love gaming with a community. I think that's what makes gaming really magical. And so when you can game with other people, I think it's so much more enriching and fun and exciting. And, watching you and your friends playing Halo is fiendish, but fun. So did you buy your first Xbox?
Yes. So, I would say Xbox would probably be the first console I bought. And of course I got the 360 after that, and then the Xbox One, and then the Xbox One S, and then the Xbox Series S.
Yeah, which that was a nightmare because I remember, I think I was trying to get it for you, and then didn't we buy the wrong one?
Yes, that's why I have an Xbox One S inside my closet right now.
Yeah, it was very confusing, and then it was not available anywhere, and I was trying to get it for him, and then I couldn't get it for him, and then we ended up buying one, and then when we bought it, after the fact we realized, oh wait, this is not what we thought it was, but it was too late to return. Well, I don't know, was it? We just kind of were like, you just said, oh, we'll just hold on to it, I can resell it or something.
Yeah, so at that time when I got it, my Xbox One pretty much died because the battery would not
that's right.
hold a charge. And so I had a console without any power supply, and they stopped making the power bricks for that console. And so you would have to upgrade to the newer generation to continue playing.
Regardless, yeah.
But before they stopped making the brick and all that, they had another one before the Xbox One Series S, which is what you were trying to get me.
Yeah.
And the one that I have sitting in the closet now, they don't make anymore. And so I was hoping in the future that it would appreciate in value because it was something that was never really...
It was such a quick blip in time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, 50, 100 years down in the line, people will look back and be like, what is this console?
What about that one that it just happened and then they moved on to the next thing so quickly?
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that console will appreciate in value somehow.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? I mean, even if it doesn't, I honestly just think it's a funny story that we spent so much time and effort. I mean, Chiggy and I were scouring the internet for days and days and weeks and months and months and months because the first wave got sold out, and then they came out with a second one, and then we were, and we would be in like the virtual queues for these Xbox Series whatever. Couldn't get it, sold out, and we were trying, I mean, literally any and every store that we could, so that when we did get this one, we were so excited only to find out it wasn't the one that we thought it was. And so it's a funny story to me, I think. But yeah, so you were an Xbox and Halo guy. Right.
I just want to touch on how, like, I know you said earlier, like, we were able to, like, go over to someone's house and watch them play video games.
Yeah.
And then how that evolved into playing multiplayer games over the internet.
Online,
And then that evolved into just watching people play video games on the internet.
On Twitch streaming or on YouTube or whatever. Yeah, for sure. So
it's like everything being centralized in one location, where instead of you bring everyone into your house,
you can bring everyone over on the internet.
You can stream it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's still crazy. But nowadays it just seems normal.
Oh, very much so. But again, it harkens back, at least for me, to the idea that gaming is so much more better with the community. Mm-hmm. Gaming is so much more better with your friends. And if your friends happen to be hundreds of millions of people on the internet and you can make a lot of money from it, that's awesome. But even as Chiggy was saying, from the humblest of beginnings, where you would literally go to your friend's house on a weekend, or my favorite is the very rare opportunities that you would get to do sleepovers and you could stay up late playing video games. Yeah, that was super fun. Even for me, because we had, that brings up a memory for me. We had a GameCube growing up, and so and that was one of the consoles where they had a pretty, and I say pretty diverse, but it really wasn't. There was more than one game dedicated to like very girl coded, so to speak. There was a bunch of Barbie games. I had Sims, or The Herbs, which is like an urban version of it. And there was like Mary Kate and Ashley games. There was, and I know, I'm sure other consoles had it before, but with GameCube it just felt a lot more accessible. Mm-hmm. And so I had some pretty like in my mind or memorable sleepover nights where, you know, I would have my girlfriends come over and we would play these, you know, these like girly coded video games, which looking back, they probably weren't great as video games, but it was just something that was really, really fun because I could do it with my friends. And that's, again, to this day, the thing that I love the most about gaming.
Yeah. I mean, GameCube was the party game console. Mm-hmm. We also had a GameCube too. Mm-hmm. I want to say we had two.
You had two? Wow, okay.
We had the purple one first, I think. Mm-hmm. And then for some reason that broke or something was wrong with it. And then we got a silver one.
The silver one, yeah. The silver one always looked so much cooler.
Yeah.
Because it just kind of had that like, ooh factor.
But for the GameCube, I believe that was the first system that came complete with 4 sockets.
Yes.
That you could put your controllers in. Mm-hmm. Like, I know back in the day, you could play 4 players with the NES, the SNES. But you had to get an attachment so that you can input the other 2 controllers.
Didn't the N64 have 4 controllers too?
Oh, right. I never had a
You didn't have an N64? My friend had an N64. I did not. And I only know that the one game I know was the Pokemon game. And it had all the mini games where you could like play as Eevee right. and Togepi and the Chansey egg game. Is that Pokemon Stadium? I don't know. No, that couldn't be Stadium.
I wouldn't know. I never had it.
Yeah, but so I was going to say that one had 4 sockets. I know because again, all 4. There was 3 siblings and then me and my brother. But my brother was kind of too old, so it was just the 3 siblings and me, and we would all play. So yeah, that one had 4 controllers, but again, that wasn't too far ahead of the GameCube, I don't think, right? Or was it? I don't know.
Well, N64 came out before the GameCube.
Yes, yeah.
And kudos to you for remembering that because...
Well, you didn't have it, so yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have it, so I don't remember playing it.
It had the weirdest controller. It had 3 handles. Mm-hmm. Like you didn't know where to put your hand. I mean, I didn't know. I just kind of whatever, but... I did, and I will say I liked the GameCube controller after the N64 controller because it made sense. Mm-hmm. And it still had the 2 directional buttons because there was a directional button and then there was a C directional button on the GameCube, remember?
Yeah.
Which was the problem with the N64, I think, because it was like it had the directional button in the middle, which is why I had that weird 3rd handle.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was I liked the GameCube. And I like the GameCube controller. The GameCube controller just tactilely just felt so satisfying. The triggers on it were nice. The directional keys were smooth. I don't know. That's one of my... Now that I think about it, like if I had to think about it, probably one of my favorite controllers. Just generally.
Okay. So I think we've talked enough about consoles,
Uh-huh.
actual consoles that you have to install onto a TV and just leave it there.
Oh, yeah.
And so
Like leave it plugged in.
right. And
Yeah.
so now I want to move the conversation to portables.
Yeah.
So either portables or handhelds.
Mm-hmm.
Because I started with the Game Boy Classic.
Yeah, Game Boy.
You said you had Game Boy
Game Boy
Color,
Advance.
or Game Boy Advance.
Yeah. Yeah, no, so I had the Game Boy Advance, and then after that, at least the next notable thing for me was a Nintendo DS, which was so cool because you could connect to Wi-Fi, and when you connect to Wi-Fi, you could open a chat feature, and everyone who got a DS that year that it came out or whatever, we were all in that chat feature just sending scribbles and everything to each other, and it was the best and coolest thing ever. Did you? I was gonna say no, but I think you had more before that because Nintendo DS was a lot bit further down. Because I think I got the DS when I was 9. That was for my 9th birthday.
I mean, the only other one that I had was the 3DS.
Oh, okay. You didn't have like a PSP?
Oh yeah, I did have a PSP.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the best.
My brother had a PSP. I do remember. It looked really cool. Like it looked very futuristic because the triggers were clear or they were like acrylic.
Yeah.
So it looked really, really cool.
But for me, the PSP, I never really played that many games on it. I played Tekken 5, and then if I wasn't playing Tekken, I was either on the internet using it as a like an iPod where you
playing music?
Yeah, just play music or just just searching the internet on it.
Really?
Yeah.
You could just go on Google and just
Oh yeah.
straight up. That's cool. So it was like a mini computer.
It was definitely a mini computer. You could definitely switch out the little memory disc.
SD card? Oh.
Yeah, the SD card.
Uh-huh.
And so I would try to get like the biggest size I could get at the time.
Yeah.
Which was probably a 128 megabyte. Not gigabyte, megabyte.
Yeah.
It was sad.
No, well, that was a big deal back then. I mean, now we work in terabytes, but what's the next big thing? Or what's the next big thing after a terabyte?
After a terabyte?
Let's say, because the last couple of memory things we've bought were terabytes, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the actual list is in terms of, bytes, kilobytes, megabytes, gigabytes, terabytes. I don't know what the actual order is after terabyte.
Gotcha. Oh, okay. I didn't even know that. But yeah, games back then or things back then, the biggest thing you could get was, I mean, I remember it was a big deal if you had a USB that had like 3 megabytes or whatever. Was it? No, 3 gigabytes. I'm sorry. See, I already got them mixed up. But that was a big deal back then because you could hold up to 10 PowerPoint slides on there for school. But okay, so you had the PSP and you said you had a 3DS. I had the 3DS. Well, the 3DS that I got was like a special edition one. I didn't get the original 3D. I think mine is technically considered like an XL or something along those lines.
Mine
but
was
it's
XL also.
Okay, I was like, I just know that mine was a special edition one because it was a special skin.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I got one game for it, so I don't know. I say I got it. A friend got it for me, but
right.
Still. Yeah, so I had the DS, and then I did also have a 3DS. And then what's after that for portables? Cell phones, technically? Mobile gaming?
Technically, there's other consoles. I never owned them.
Oh, okay.
There was the PSP Vita. There's the Wii U.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But
didn't you have to, like, I think you had to still play it with the Wii, didn't you? I thought.
I don't know. I never had it.
Okay. I did have a Wii growing up. That was fun.
Me too.
Bowling. For the win.
Yes.
Don't know why everyone loved bowling, but everyone
Bro.
loved bowling.
It's like the first time you can actually, like, simulate bowling like yourself actually throwing something and going through the motion, but you're not at the bowling alley.
No, that's true. Yeah, my dad, I don't know why, my dad just, at this point I was definitely in my late teens, I want to say. I don't know when the Wii came out, but like I got the Wii in my teenage years, but my dad just had this big love for the Wii. He very intentionally got every single part for Rock Band. Like he wanted the drums and the guitar and the bass guitar, and like he wanted everything. And he set it up in the loft with like extra surround sound. Like it was crazy. And my dad loved playing that game. But again, it was because we could play it together. And I mean, I don't want to be cheesy, but gaming community really does make a difference. So I really did. I enjoyed playing the Wii. I think because it was a big family game for us. Like even my parents played, which was pretty cool.
Pretty cool. I mean, I had Rock Band also.
Yeah.
I mean, we played it first just because of Guitar Hero.
Yes, Guitar. Yeah.
And then I figured out you could actually use the Guitar Hero controller to play Rock Band. So that was pretty cool. But then we got it because there was drums.
Yes.
And so we had the setup for both Xbox and PlayStation.
Ooh, okay.
We had it for Xbox first. And then that broke really quickly because the kick pedal was made of plastic, and then later down the kick pedal was upgraded to be a steel kick pedal, so it wouldn't break
the
as
top
easily.
of it was metal, and then the plastic part it wasn't the gear that was the plastic part. It was the like little pump part was metal. We didn't get I know exactly what you're talking about because my friend had the plastic one and we didn't have the plastic one, and theirs was constantly like non-working, and ours lasted forever. It's still working now. I should ask my dad for the Rock Band setup because we don't have one. Or do you?
I think we threw ours out because it was sitting in the garage.
Yeah.
And we never touched it for a while.
Okay.
And so it probably has a bunch of spiders and stuff in it, just collecting dust. It probably doesn't even turn on anymore.
Oh, okay.
Because it probably was on the ground, and when it rains a lot in my area, we seem to get water in the garage, and so it might have water damage to them as well.
Gotcha. I'll text my dad. See if we can get Rock Band. That'd be fun. I would play Rock Band with you. That'd be a lot of fun. What was your next handheld after that?
So I think the last one and the most current one we have now, I want to say is the Switch, because you can take it with you around portably.
Yeah.
And then you can also dock it at home if you want to play on the TV.
Yes.
I consider it a portable system.
I do too. I think it's the best of both worlds because you can bring it with you and you can play with it while you're out and about. The controllers are detachable, but you can also play it attached, and you can you can dock it to a TV, and then you're playing on the big screen. It is, the Nintendo Switch, I feel like, was, again, Nintendo just doing that innovative thing of what other crazy thing can we do? Like, let's make something portable, but also it docks, but also the controllers are removable, but also, like, it was just everything in a cool little package. And we've traveled with our Switches plenty of times. So, very much so. I love our Switches. We both have a Switch. Chiggy bought me my Switch. He got me an Animal Crossing Switch. It is very, very cute and very pretty. And I have a strawberry skin on it, and I love it so much.
You're welcome.
And then Chiggy has the original Switch. And we have every type of game, I feel like, which is kind of cool because we have regular party games. So we have Mario Party and Mario Kart, and we have the Olympic Sonic and Mario Olympics, and like we have all the typical party group games on our Switches, but then we also have individual fun games. Like I really like looking up weird games. Like I have I can't even pronounce the title of it. Like I have a French game on mine. We also have Pokemon on our Switches. My nephews have Pokemon now, so I'm really excited that once they get through the story, we could play online with them. My nephews live in a different part of the world, like literally a different time zone, so it'll be really cool to, again, the community of gaming and just being able to connect in a way that I can't always talk to them, or I can't always spend physical quality time with them. And so the idea of being able to play Pokemon with them will be so exciting. So we have Pokemon on our Switches. What other games do we have? Am I missing? We have so many that I'm like, I can't even keep them straight.
Well, you have your games and I have my games.
Yeah, exactly.
So I know we have Smash.
Yes.
I have Monster Hunter and
yeah. I forgot that was on the Switch.
Yeah, I also downloaded some of their old school games because you can go through like SNES games and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, the catalog. Yes. That's right.
Which I think is pretty cool because, you know, they're still making money off classics.
Yeah, but it's classic for a reason. It's a good game. That just right. I've been saying a lot of Mario games, but I have Super Mario Odyssey on my Switch. I love that game. I'm horrible at it, but I love it so much. I watch a lot of Super Mario Odyssey streamers. Shout out for _ my favorite streamer, and he's such a good Super Mario Odyssey player. Genuinely, this is exactly how it happened. I started watching for _ and Smant and CJ and all these people to the point that I was watching them nauseously so that Chiggy and I, one day we were out at a garage sale, and it wasn't even like a good garage sale. It was a garage sale that Chiggy and I saw a sign for. We were coming home from somewhere, and we were like, hey, let's swing by because that's on the way home. And it was just some random guy with his wife, and they had like 5 things out there, and they had like 5 things on their driveway, nothing of interest, but he had a table full of, I think there were Pokemon cards. There was he had some figures, and then they had a couple games, and there was Super Mario Odyssey. And Chiggy and I were like, we should probably get this. So Chiggy got me Super Mario Odyssey, and I played the whole way through the story. I beat the final boss of Bowser. Haven't 100% the game, but I've beaten the story portion of the game, which gave me so much anxiety, but it was so much fun.
At least you did it.
I did. I was so proud of myself. Took me, I think, 3 or 4 times. I'm such a bad gamer, y'all. It took me a handful of times to get Bowser. Like, Chiggy will tell you, I was ready to give up because I couldn't get the timing right. Even though I knew what it was, I physically couldn't do the buttons. So I was like, I'm never going to get this. And then I finally got it, and I screamed really, really loud, and I fell back on the bed, and I couldn't move for like 10 minutes because I had such a visceral reaction of actually beating it. Yeah, that was a fun one.
Yeah. Like, I remember seeing you play it, and like when you see other people play it, like on Twitch or on YouTube, like they make it look so easy.
Oh yeah.
Right? And then when you actually gave me the controller and you told me the buttons to press, I was like, this is actually pretty difficult.
Yeah. Cannot if I practice it, I can probably get like 2 or 3 consecutive cat bounces.
Yeah.
But beyond, I can't do a cat bounce into a wall jump. Still can't do moon skip. Tried that so many times. Couldn't do it. But it's weird because it's like I know exactly what I need to do. I've watched these people do it. I've watched tutorials on it, like, so I know the buttons. But actually doing it is really, really difficult. Again, for someone who is not a gamer, I want to make that very clear. I'm a fan of gaming, so I can't justify calling myself a gamer.
No, you can still call yourself a gamer.
I just really bad one.
But I mean, I still give you kudos because you put the dedication into playing that game and you beat it.
Yeah.
Like you said, you didn't 100% the game, but still you beat the the main story.
And
so kudos.
Yeah, thank you.
But the only other thing that I want to touch on, other than the consoles and the handhelds, is the future of gaming.
Future of gaming. Ooh. Felt very heavy.
Oh yeah.
Future of gaming. Okay.
Which is not in consoles anymore. It's on PC.
Really?
And I'm probably going to get a lot of comments and hate about it, because there are like PlayStation fanboys and there's Xbox fanboys, and
Nintendo Switch is coming out with Generation 2 this year.
Yeah.
I mean,
people just defend their consoles. And I used to be like that because I started with Xbox. But PC has everything.
Yeah, it does.
And so I believe, the future of gaming is going to be on PC, because you can literally play any game now on PC.
And it's, generally speaking, the most accessible, because more than likely someone will have a computer or a laptop.
Oh yeah.
And that's all you need to start gaming in general. You don't need to and you can buy games online, or you can you can use Steam, or
right.
There's so many outlets. I mean, even back in the day, like back in the late 2000s, I mean, do you remember addictinggames.com, where they were the what are they called, like the little JPEG games, or like Stickman games? Like, graphics were little to nothing, but they were games that you could just play for hours and hours on end, and that was in the early 2000s, and now it's 2025, so all the more gaming on PCs, and there's just so much available, I think.
Oh yeah.
So I don't disagree with you that I think gaming can go very, very far with computers. I don't think it's the end of consoles, because I think there will always be a market for, and I say this because we have friends who have kids, and the way that those kids' Nintendo Switches are like their lives, I'm kind of like, there's always going to be a market for that, like for gaming to be a toy in a way. And so I don't necessarily think it's the end of those types of consoles, but I think that if we look towards the future of gaming, in a sense of, I mean, because we were talking about it earlier, there's streaming, there's YouTube, there are gaming competition, or like tournaments and competitions that are filling stadiums, and more often than not they're using computers to do it, because it's just easier. I don't know if the word's easier, but it's accessible in that way.
Yeah, you had it right when you said it's more accessible.
Excuse me. So I feel like it will go both ways, I feel. But I agree with you that there's a lot to be gained in the gaming, world, or in the gaming zeitgeist, where, people using computers and again, access to the internet that way, and just kind of connecting with other gamers and that community. I mean, people make Discords all the time. So it's like, that's how it starts, and that's how it grows, for sure. Do you have any particular things in PC gaming that you like better than console gaming?
Oh yeah. So PC gaming, you literally can map whatever you want on the keyboard to be your controls.
Oh yeah.
And then you can plug in a controller into a USB port and then use that as your controller.
Yeah.
Not only that, but you can also emulate any and all games that have been created before. So there are NES emulators, there's SNES emulators, they've brought it all the way up to like games that are on the Switch or are on Xbox and PlayStation.
Really? I didn't know that.
And so you can literally play any game you want in history through PC.
Pong.
I mean, yeah, you can do that too.
You said game in history, and I was like, Pong. The immediate thought. Yeah, no, I think that's really cool. I like that. I like that you and I both have not only different histories in gaming, but despite the differences that we've had, we both, like, now in our relationship and in our friendship and everything, like, we have such a genuine love for gaming, both as gamers and spectators, and like we enjoy playing games with our friends. And this spans from a Chiggy playing with his, playing COD with a bunch of his friends on Discord to, me bringing my Nintendo Switch over to our friend's house and we play Pico Park and scream at each other for hours, to the point that we gave ourselves headaches, I feel like. Highly recommend Pico Park, though. Or even you and I just catching a stream and watching our favorite streamers playing our favorite games or whatever. And it's so interesting to me how gaming has evolved over the course of our lifetimes, and it's exciting to see where it will go in PC or with the new Nintendo Switch coming out. So yeah, I'm excited. You have any final thoughts?
Probably just some recommendations of games to play at the moment. I mentioned PC only because there is a game that I played with my friends recently, and it's pretty popular. Chained Together.
Oh yeah.
So it's one of those games where you keep going up, and you have to work together to time your jumps and just have the coordination to move together as a unit, so that you don't fall.
Yeah, it is frustrating to watch. I was screaming watching him play, but it's endlessly hilarious because for all intents and purposes, everyone's trying, but sometimes people like to be fiends. Yeah, Chained Together is a good one. What's a game that I would recommend? I mean, I said Pico Park earlier, and I mentioned Super Mario Odyssey. Do I have any other fun games? I guess if you wanted to do something on the peaceful or more relaxing side, games like your Stardew Valleys or Hello Kitty Adventure, which is coming out to the Switch, if I'm not mistaken, this month or this year. So it's the very simple, like you're farming Sims or you're going about and running chores for everyone's Sims, which I really appreciate those games because it's really easy to kind of not think. Like it's a game that you can not think about and you just kind of play it. It allows you to disengage for a little bit. So those are always really fun. And by really fun, I mean you can just stop thinking for a little bit, which sometimes you need. So yeah, those would be my game recommendations.
Nice. I know we didn't touch upon another set of games and gaming, which is through mobile. But I know there are a bunch of people that are just mobile gamers. I know we have a couple of friends that play Call of Duty mobile. So
that's true.
That is another, quote unquote console or handheld.
Portable handheld, yeah.
But that's not something that I would get into personally, playing on your phone like Call of Duty mobile. But I know it's very popular.
We have other games on our phones. We have like, I don't know, we have boring games on our phones, but we do have games on our phones. Just not, like you said, not like Call of Duty mobile or, yeah, we don't do hardcore stuff like that, I guess. It's not our cup of tea, so to speak. So I think that's going to wrap up today's episode. Thank you so much, Chiggy. I think you definitely carried this episode. So thank you not only for your insight, but I also feel like you have such a deep love for gaming. So let us know in the comments down below if you guys enjoyed this episode or if you guys have any recommendations for games for Chiggy, myself, or even the both of us. And if you guys want to see any more gaming content, let us know as well. Otherwise, we'll talk to y'all later. Bye.